Kenya police arrest 2 ISIS suspects they say were planning deadly attacks. Could a new soap wash away the continent's malaria threat? And money may not grow on trees, but for one UK designer, furniture certainly does. Africa 54 starts right now.
Good evening and welcome. I'm Vincent Makori. This is Africa 54. U.S. President Barack Obama says the G7 summit in Japan is off to a good start, calling it extremely productive. Mr. Obama says keeping the global economy flourishing is among the top agenda items he and leaders from Japan, Britain, France, Germany, Italy and Canada discussed at the opening of the summit on Thursday. President Obama says they intend to cover more key international issues over the day.
We began to touch on some of the key security issues that are important to all of us. South China Sea and maritime security, touched on issues surrounding Ukraine, where we've started to see some progress in negotiations, but we're still seeing too much violence, and we need to get that resolved, and we're going to spend some time this evening tackling some of the other major international hotspots.
Well, after the summit's conclusion on Friday, President Obama travels to Hiroshima, where tens of thousands of Japanese were killed when a U.S. warplane dropped the world's first atomic bomb in 1945, hastening the end of World War II. Kenyan police say they have arrested 2 people linked to Islamic State who were planning to launch an attack. Police say the 2 who were arrested on Tuesday in a suburb of Nairobi had bomb-making material and were planning a retaliatory attack for the arrest of the Islamic State planner Mohammed Abdi earlier this month. Kenya has faced a series of attacks in the past few years in which hundreds have died, launched by the Al-Qaeda-aligned Somali group Al-Shabaab. This month, however, police say they had arrested an Islamic militant who was plotting attacks and who they say was linked to Islamic State. Experts say Kenya's focus on dismantling Al-Shabaab cells may have allowed sympathizers of Islamic State to sleep under the radar. Now, one of the smallest tribes in the world, the Yaku in Kenya, is facing one of the biggest battles. Ruud Elmendop caught up with them and filed this report from Dodo.
Here, in the plains of central Kenya, the Yaku tribesmen have been surviving for centuries as hunters and beekeepers. And in isolation, they nurtured their own language and culture. But nowadays, the Yaku language is only a whisper of what it used to be. 84-year-old Stephen Leitiku is one of the few remaining Yaku speakers. He and his friends meet every day to share the latest.
I am proud to be the one last speakers now, but I'm afraid that when I die, all the others in my age group, it will be the end of our culture.
The language disappeared because the Yaku copied the language of the richer cattle-herding Maasai tribe to do business with them. To preserve their withering ancestry, they built the Yaku Cultural Museum. It's dedicated to Naruato Matunga, a Yaku-speaking woman who recently died and took the Yaku she spoke with her in the grave. Her grandson Manasseh started to organize Yaku classes for children in the area, and among them is his 15-year-old daughter.
My name is Lilian. I'm a pupil in Kurikuri Primary School. I like my language because it is part of my culture. So that's why I like my language, Yaku language. Yeah.
The elders help where they can, but teachers fear these lessons are not sufficient to save the language.
Hobby.
In this school alone, there are 230 children, all Yaku. There was a lot of relief when recently a Yaku dictionary was discovered, drafted by a German linguist. Manasseh and his wife study it every day. And for them and the other Yaku, it has the status of the Bible.
Including clan 1 to 5.
Today, there are only about 10 Yaku speakers alive. And Manasseh says they need the language to maintain their presence in Kenya.
We need our Yaku culture in order to be recognized by the government. Only with a distinct Yaku culture, they provide services specific for us, the Yaku.
But with only a dictionary and the people speaking it getting older, it will take a while before Yaku will be heard again amongst these hills. This is Ruth Almondorp for the Voice of America, Toldol, Kenya.
Well, this week, hundreds of Jewish pilgrims are defying terrorist threats to celebrate an ancient religious festival on the Tunisian island of Djerba. The festivities cast a spotlight on North Africa's once vibrant Jewish population that has all but died out in recent decades. Lisa Bryant reports.
A time to meet and to remember family roots. Jews from Tunisia and countries far beyond are here to celebrate the annual pilgrimage to the Griba, Africa's oldest synagogue. Tilda Lelouch grew up outside Tunis before emigrating to France in 1972, but she comes back regularly. She's observing an ancient ritual of the Griba's Lag BaOmer festival, writing wishes on hard-boiled eggs. One is for a granddaughter getting an operation. Others are for peace and tourism to return to Tunisia. She shows old family photos. One uncle was Tunisia's first Jewish prime minister.
C'est une grande émotion. Déjà de revoir les musulmans qu'on aime.
It's really emotional coming back here to also see Muslims that we grew up with. They were our neighbors, our family.
Mais nos voisins, c'est la famille pour nous.
Security is tight. Tunisia weathered 3 terrorist attacks last year. Assailants have also targeted the Griba twice, most recently in 2002. Insecurity is one reason why Tunisian Jews left this country in droves after independence. Half a century ago, more than 100,000 Jews lived in Tunisia. Today, less than 2,000 remain, most of them in Djerba. Many live in this neighborhood, a few kilometers from the synagogue. Elsewhere in North Africa, Jewish communities are dying out. Not here.
Before they were leaving, but now, since 5 or 6 years ago, they're staying here. They have work. Things are good here. They don't have problems.
Those remaining here are ultra-Orthodox and deeply traditional. Women usually marry by 18 or 20. Jews here live peacefully alongside Muslim neighbors, like postal worker Murad Mehni.
We each have our own religion, habits and traditions, but everything is fine.
Britain's top liberal rabbi, Danny Rich, is visiting Griba for the first time. He says Tunisia sets an example for interfaith relations, but he believes that if the Jewish community here is to survive, it needs to look out, not in.
If it doesn't welcome people who come in from the outside, then in numbers alone, its future may be threatened. But clearly one of the ways of expanding Jewish influence, if you like, or creating Jewish community, is to reflect on how welcoming you are of people who show an interest.
Lisa Bryant for VOA News, Djerba, Tunisia.
The Idomeni camp on the Greek border with Macedonia, which has been home to more than 8,000 migrants and refugees in recent weeks, stood empty on Thursday. The Greek government hailed the end of the operation as a success, but police say only about 2,800 of the 8,000 have been relocated by bus to state-run facilities since the launch of an evacuation operation on Tuesday. Some of the migrants started to leave the camp voluntarily, seeking to avoid state-run Greek migrant camps where they fear they will end up trapped. Instead, they have been setting up tents at a gas station and a neighboring empty field in the town of Evzoni, 6 kilometers from Idomeni. Many refugees, including 18-year-old Syrian refugee Diyar and his family, and Hussein with his wife and 2 daughters, say they do not want to go to a government camp.
Actually, I'm looking for a smuggler. Yeah, like everyone here, maybe he's trying to get a smuggler and move from here by plane or by walking or anything else. It's better than to stay here.
Because those who are going by the buses, the numbers in the camp, for a camp that is able to accommodate 1,000, so now the camp is taking on more and it's overcrowded. So there is no place for us and there's not enough food and aid and medicine. People are cramped on top of each other and at the same time there are same problems as the previous camp. I don't want to go and get squeezed among people and in the end we still don't know what our fate will be.
8 groups say the new site, including some in unused warehouses and industrial zones, are not fully functional. They have called on Greece, which is also grappling with its worst economic crisis in generations, to improve conditions there. Well, we want to know what you think about Africa 54 and the stories we cover during the conversation on Facebook. The address is Africa 54. Or check out our headlines 24/7 on voaafrica.com. Find me on Twitter at VOA Vince Makori. Coming up, an unusual weapon in the fight against malaria. Stay with us.
From science and technology, here's what's new.
What's new? How about some new skin, or more accurately, a second skin? Scientists at Harvard and the Massachusetts Institute of Technology say they are developing a new material which may reduce wrinkles and eye bags. MIT's Robert Langer says a polymer is rubbed on the skin along with a second coating of a different material that strengthens the polymer underneath. The result is an imperceptibly thin artificial second skin that could have a variety of uses.
Where you'd use it to tighten skin in different parts of the body. Another could be for therapeutics, where you'd use it as a whole new kind of plastic ointment that could be used to deliver drugs to the skin to treat different skin diseases. So there's all kinds of different directions you could take this discovery.
This facelift in a bottle that's supposed to keep your skin young, vibrant, and wrinkle-free is still being tested with no word on when it might be available to the public. For VOA's What's New, I'm Todd Grossons.
I wanted to present music and a side of American culture that is most important to me, that is a part of who I am. They're going to get some incredible performances. That's one of the things I love, bringing these artists in so you can get to see them do what they do. It's soul music, and that's what music is. It's that which comes from the soul.
Well, it's time for a health report, and joining us now is Africa 54 health correspondent Lino Madu with more on an unusual weapon in the battle against malaria. Lino.
That's right, Vincent. A mosquito repellent soap invention seeks to wash away Africa's malaria threat.
Faso soap is created from natural oils and plants. It is designed to repel mosquitoes up to 6 hours after being applied. Two former students in Burkina Faso, Mokhtar Dembele and Gerard Nyongdiko, are the brain behind Faso soap. They were awarded a $25,000 prize for their invention in 2013 and became the first African winners of the Global Social Venture competition at the University of Berkeley, California. They aim to distribute Faso soap in 6 African countries hardest hit by malaria by 2018, working with soap manufacturers and aid agencies. The inventors are convinced that the mosquito repellent soap will become a new and efficient prevention tool, besides insecticide-treated mosquito nets and indoor residual spraying. Malaria is a mosquito-borne infectious disease caused by parasites transmitted to humans through the bite of an Anopheles mosquito. The World Health Organization estimates that there were 214 million new cases of malaria worldwide in 2015, more than 85% of cases in the African region. Most victims are children under age 5. Faso soap must be tested to ensure it is safe for human use and effective at preventing malaria before it can be mass-produced by soap manufacturers in Africa.
Joining us now live via Skype from Paris, France, is Franck Langevin. He is the campaigns director with Faso soap and an expert in innovation, entrepreneurship, and international business. Mr. Langevin, welcome to the show.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you.
So first of all, why a soap?
Why a soap? We choose soap because soap is actually in the daily lives of almost every African people. So there is a huge opportunity that we found of making the soap repellent, given that the soap is used in the morning, but also usually in the evening in the most tropical zones where malaria is very effective. And given that people wash themselves just before the sun goes down, and that's exactly the time where the anopheles, the female anopheles, the mosquitoes that bite and transmit malaria, actually wakes up. So the idea for us is that we have a soap that can be a solution there.
So how does it work? Given that soap is rinsed off after use, is it the smell or another?
Yeah, obviously, the smell is the main part of the solution. So as you said, there's it's a very simple product, but it's a very big technical challenge because, as you say, it's a product that is rinsed after being used. So what we do is like we're testing right now. We're still in the R&D phase. So we're testing different techniques like microencapsulation. So it means like you put repellent substances in very small capsules that sticks on the skin, and so that doesn't like go away with the water. And after, with humidity, with the heat, this capsule will break and release progressively the repellent substances.
So do you think that this technology could be used for other mosquito-borne diseases, such as Zika with the tiger mosquito or other diseases?
We think that it will be also effective on other mosquitoes, but we are really into malaria. That like our big goal is to save 100,000 lives by end of 2018. It's very ambitious, but it just means that malaria is still one of the most deadly disease worldwide. Killing a child every 2 minutes. So we really want to focus on right now on Africa and on malaria first, not to be distracted with other diseases right now. Obviously, we could do that afterwards.
And before we finish, what stage are you in terms of having this available by populations?
Right now, we are testing prototypes, so there's different techniques that can be used. So we're trying to see how effective they are, how safe they are for the people, and how affordable they can be. Because we need to have these three elements to be done to have the product released. So we need to have to test that.
And you came across some challenges in terms of raising funds. Can you quickly talk about that?
Yes, it was very difficult being a social African startup. In Ouagadougou, Burkina Faso, there's not so many sources of funding for research and R&D. So the thing we did recently is making a crowdfunding campaign. So that helped us raising some money.
Okay, Franck Langevin, thank you so much for joining us. Good luck with the soap.
Thank you.
And that was Franck Langevin, his campaigns director with Faso Soap. And that's our health report for today. To stay in touch, find me on Twitter @Lenore Moudou. Back to you, Vincent.
All right, we'll look for Lenore. Thanks a lot, Lenore. Be sure to watch Lenore Moudou's health reports every Tuesday and Thursday right here on Africa 54. It's time now for a short break. Still to come on Africa 54, interior design on the outside. We'll be right back.
If you've just joined us, I'm Mariama Diallo, and here is a quick recap of today's headlines. In Nigeria, oil company Chevron's onshore activities in the Niger Delta have been shut down by a militant attack at its Escravos terminal in the latest in escalating attacks in the southern region. The United Nations Security Council unanimously votes to end sanctions and an arms embargo on Liberia, citing stabilization since the deadly civil war that ended in 2003. In Zimbabwe, President Robert Mugabe says he will serve, quote, as long as I feel I can serve the people, unquote, in an address to supporters in Harare. That's all for today. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Welcome back to Africa 54. Here's what's trending. This could be any farmer's field, but a closer look reveals some strangely shaped plants. This is interior design on the outside. Trees here are grown into the shape of furniture and are carefully pruned and trained to form chairs. Now, when it rains, it's not just chairs that get watered. He is also growing a range of mirrors, lamps, and tables. It's a complex process to ensure the tree grows in the right shape so the end product doesn't require any glue, nails, or other man-made fixtures to hold an item together. It can take between 5 to 10 years to grow a fully functioning chair. And as this business only started in 2012, there are few finished products. When full production gets underway, individual pieces are expected to go for several £1,000s each. Well, next up, high-end brands and luxury goods suppliers in Beverly Hills are looking at ways to encourage the millennial generation to spend their money in the future. The millennials are the 80 million strong demographic born between the early 1980s to around 2000. Hoping to attract young customers, traditional luxury brands are focusing on increasing their digital presence to appeal to a savvy market. Other high-end trends will include demand for menus featuring locally sourced ingredients. Art will become more accessible as young art collectors showcase their purchases in public places to bring art to the people in an effort to give back. And visible logos on high-end goods will be shunned as luxury consumers opt for understated, more personalized and crafted items. And in other luxury news, Indonesian holiday resorts are jumping in on the popularity of glamping, offering guests a familiar outdoor camping experience with an added luxurious twist. Some sites are springing up just a few hours away from the country's capital, Jakarta, giving city dwellers the option of a quick weekend getaway. There are currently around a dozen glamping sites operating in various parts of the country, from the islands of Java, Bali, and Lombok to the remote Papua province. Indonesia's tourism industry faces competition in Southeast Asia from neighboring countries, including Malaysia and Thailand. Local glamping operators have asked for government support to improve the country's infrastructure in order to better promote more remote glamping destinations. And that is what is trending today. Now, the National Gallery of Art in Washington, D.C. recently hosted a panel discussion with world-renowned architect Frank Gehry. VOA's Caroline Turner tells us about it.
Frank Gehry has transformed contemporary architecture with his innovative use of materials, design, and form. The Foundation for Arts and Preservation in Embassies hosted Frank Gehry, the most famous architect of our time. He was joined by Pulitzer Prize-winning architectural critic Paul Goldberger, who wrote the book, Building Art, The Life and Work of Frank Gehry. Gehry explains where his ideas come from.
So I was looking for a way to, with modern techniques, to humanize it, to get back to a feeling building. And so I started to explore movement because everything around me was moving.
Gehry redefined architecture with his signature design of the Guggenheim Museum in Bilbao, Spain. The structure of swirling titanium seems to be taking flight. The museum transformed the city and made Gehry world famous. His secret weapon is an add-on he developed for aerospace software so it could be used architecturally.
So you can delineate very precisely the shapes and how to build them, so nobody has to think about it. It all goes together like an erector set. The software allows you to precise it so that you're not paying extra for it.
The architect explained his choice of metal.
In Bilbao, I did titanium because titanium in cloudy skies turns golden. And so in Bilbao, where it's cloudy 50% of the time, I wanted that warmth of the golden. We couldn't afford it. It was twice the cost of any other metal. But we bid it as an alternate, and the Russians dumped titanium on the market that period, and we got the titanium for the same price.
Have you ever thought of becoming a commodities trader? You might have done really well.
I'm really into this stuff. I mean, it's part of the game. If you don't understand all that stuff, you can't do things like this.
The Walt Disney Concert Hall for the LA Philharmonic took 16 years. Critics said it was unbuildable until the museum in Bilbao captured the world's attention.
Los Angeles light is much different, and so stainless steel works perfectly. We don't need the golden glow of titanium because we don't have the gray days. I think you have to match the materials to the world you're in and the context and the people and the project.
Gary says his priority was to design it to be acoustically brilliant.
All the issues that an architect should pay attention to, and that is the feeling, the interaction between people, how the building enables people to interact and feel and enjoy each other. That idea resonates with the orchestra and the audience, and it's palpable. They tell me about it.
It took over a dozen years to get the design and approvals to build the celebrated Fondation Louis Vuitton in Paris. The structure is actually two buildings, a visually dramatic facade of floating curved glass sails to grace the exterior, with an inside structure of concrete panels to create galleries to display the art. Paul Goldberger's book will become required reading for aspiring architects or anyone who wants to learn how huge projects are achieved.
Frank Gehry has been unusual in that he has tried to maximize the extent to which a building can be art and still fulfill all of its functional demands. And the question is, how much can you do that and still make something that creates a transcendent experience for people?
The book reveals the drama and daunting challenges as the architect struggles to create art and serve his clients' competing interests to get each project built. Carolyn Turner, VOA News.
Well, and that's our show for today. Be sure to watch Africa 54 on our website at voaafrica.com. For more news, tune in to VOA's evening radio show, Africa News Tonight at 1800 UTC and in the mornings to Daybreak Africa between 0300 and 0600 UTC Monday through Friday. Thanks a lot for watching. From all of us in Washington, have a good night.
Welcome to English in a Minute. We all have our own ways of waking up in the morning. But is this expression really about waking up in the morning?
Wake up call.
I can't believe my roommate.
Why? What's up?
She buys everything with her credit card. She's already $20,000 in debt.
Ouch. Living off credit is a bad idea. She needs a wake-up call.
A wake-up call is something that makes you wake up to a bad reality, like a huge credit card bill. But this expression can also mean an actual wake-up call at a hotel. Next time you travel, you can ask for a wake-up call, or if a friend is not facing reality, you can give them a wake-up call. And that's English in a Minute.